remained impassive, but then her mouth parted in surprise before stiffening into a grim line. "What is it?" I asked, rebellious hope rising in my contrary heart. I slid over to that side of the carriage and looked out the window. There, before the village green, an elderly woman as thin as a sparrow stood. She held her skirt aloft with one hand and raised her other hand high. She looked this way and that, as though waiting for someone, and for a moment I feared she would be left standing alone in the middle of the street. Then, from behind the market hall, an old man hobbled into view. He tossed aside his apron and bowed before the woman, and she in turn curtsied. She gave him a girlish smile, and decades flew from her face. He offered his hand, and she placed hers in his. Together, side by side, they slowly walked up the high street in a curious rhythm. Step, shuffle, step, step, shuffle, step. Then they faced each other, joined both hands, and turned in a circle. "What are they doing?" I breathed in wonder. My mother snapped. "What does it look like?" "Who are they? Do you know?" She made no answer. I glanced over and saw an array of emotions cross her face. Irritation, pain, longing. "Who are they?" I whispered again. She kept her gaze trained out the window, on the couple's retreating figures as they continued their odd shuffle step up the street. My mother inhaled deeply, clamping an iron fist over her emotions, whatever they were. "Mr. and Mrs. Desmond, I believe." "I don't think I know them." "No, Julia, you wouldn't. They live outside of town." I felt my face pucker. "Then don't they know about the rule?" "They know." I glanced at her, but she averted her eyes, using her father's walking stick to knock against the roof. At the familiar signal, the coachman called, "Walk on!" to the horses, and we moved away. We returned to Buckley and paused at the estate's churchyard. My mother alighted first, waving away the hovering groom and his offered umbrella. I exited after her, and when the young groom offered his hand to help me down, I smiled flirtatiously and enjoyed watching his face redden. The day had turned pewter grey. A cold drizzle pricked through my thin cape, sending a shiver up my neck. I followed my mother past lichen-encrusted graves and listing markers. We stopped before the family plot, outlined in brick and set with impressive headstones like dull gems in a macabre bracelet. There I read her brother's epitaph. Graham Buckley, Lord Upcott, born January the 4th, 1776, died May the 1st, 1797, beloved son and brother. 21 years old, I murmured. So young. "Yes," she whispered. "How did he die?" I asked as I did every year, hoping she would one day tell me the whole story. "He was killed in a duel." "Who killed him?" "I prefer not to speak his name." My gaze wandered from the headstone of the uncle I had never met, to settle on that of the aunt I had never met either. She died in childbirth, before I was born. Lady Anne Tremeling, born December the 5th, 1777, died December the 9th, 1797, beloved daughter and sister. I nodded toward her sister's headstone. "She died less than a year later." "Yes." My mother bent and laid the bouquet of lily of the valley on her brother's grave. Lily of the valley, tears and humility. She straightened,